What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about NIO. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down what's moving, and go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So NIO is up 2.28%, 723 the low, 751 the high, and 38.6 million shares being traded. So big money is definitely buying the NIO dip. Today we're seeing a lot of volatility, so more of a push lower because of some geopolitical issues. So we did have some optimistic stuff that did come out on Sunday, such as the States and China coming to some deal. So it goes over China's actions, what China is going to be doing versus the States. Clearly, that's very one-sided, to me at least. But nonetheless, the broader market initially did like this. But we did also have then Trump afterwards say some other stuff that most likely adds a certain level of uncertainty. So Trump says that the US will block China from accessing NVIDIA's most advanced semiconductor chip. So again, you're kind of adding a certain layer of just uncertainty to all that. So that's one thing that did cause that nice dip right here. So luckily to those individuals that did buy it. I myself did buy more NIO during the overnight trading when it was kind of wedge bound between that 722 and 728 range. So I did get in 1,000 shares at 725. So definitely looking pretty good. And this is the first time I did buy in a very, very long time. Aside from that, I've been selling puts quite extensively. And as I've been open to you guys about that, but I did feel based on the monthly numbers that they did put out, it was definitely a time to buy. So record numbers, 40,397. So the market is digesting that. Over and above, we did get a new rating. This one, there was articles coming out saying that this was done like a week and a half ago, as I mentioned already. But Goldman Sachs, Tina, who does have a 50% success rating, gave a $7 price target, and that was posted 3 days ago. Although, like I said, I think in reality it came out like 2 weeks ago, but still, most likely we will be getting some new ratings because of these monthly numbers. So the market's digesting all that, and this is why we are seeing a nice push higher. At the same time, this recently did come out. So NIO and Onvo's OSD, so which will be rolled out, I believe it is either between the tail end of this year and Q1 of 2026. So this is huge, and I think that's one thing a lot of people generally don't really give NIO that much credit for, is their technology. So for instance, if NIO does come to Canada, I know there were some recent updates for the tariffs, then NIO is going to dominate. And same with a lot of just Chinese EVs are going to dominate that market. So probably that's why you have Europe somewhat still hesitant about dropping their tariffs, but I think it's just a matter of time before that does also happen. So I think there's some negotiations happening between China and Europe that is going to be happening this week. I did forget to bring that up in my kind of week video where I go over some expectations, but nonetheless, market is digesting this as well as the monthly numbers and really starting to move higher. At the time of doing this video, shorts are returning 207,000 shares, 10.4% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 143.8 million shares overall being shorted. But as I've mentioned, shorts are still overextended with the DTC being 1.82 days. So definitely there could be more room for them to return. So most likely this week, assuming some craziness doesn't really pop up or some war or whatever else, then most likely we will be going back down to single digit. So right now 10.4, the most recent low was 9.69. That was done, it looks like third week of September. So most likely we'll be seeing single digit sometime this week. Aside from that, looking at the options, 5.4 million in calls, 1.1 in puts, and then 54% of all the options being done are bullish in nature. This 100% is abnormal, and because of what's happening in the broader market, we're seeing a lot of bearishness. So in NIO, definitely big money is seeing more upside. Aside from that though, from a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around that 750 to 8 by the end of this week. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 6 to 7. So definitely interesting to see the bear standpoint. I'm not really sure exactly where that would be coming from, maybe unless they are assuming some tensions are going to be increasing between the States and China or something else, but I don't really see that being on the table in my opinion. These are some of the transactions occurring on the dark pool above $100,000. So I'll pop over to today. which is the third. And so far, this is it. So the big one is 1.28 million. So definitely goes to show that hedge funds are buying up NIO, because shorts and hedge funds are the ones that are primarily using the dark pool. And plus, just looking at the size, 100,000, 100,000, 100,000, that's clearly a hedge fund. So hedge funds are definitely buying up NIO. So they like these numbers, of course, because why the hell wouldn't you? Because they're on point. Aside from that, though, with it at 742, it is trading between this R1 and the pivot. So I'm looking at the 4-hour chart. So for those of you that are day traders or whatever else, so 718 is going to be a strong support. I don't see that being touched, at least for the foreseeable future. What is going to be on the table next is at 785. So that would be a pretty good, nice retest of that strong resistance area. And if it's able to get there, then you could see a new 52-week high of roughly around that 826. L8 Wave Technicals, as I brought up a couple videos ago, is forecasting for NIO to get to that low $9 range. So definitely good to see. Aside from all of that fun stuff on the actual chart itself, quickly pulling up NIO so you guys don't need SoundHound. So on the actual chart, it did bounce recently off of that 50-day moving on Friday. So that's also one attributing factor why NIO is kind of moving higher, is just more of a nice recovery. So I think in general, NIO this week, a lot of big things were going to be coming for it. And it was just a matter of time. NIO has just been trading flat for a while. And so in case you guys have been doing covered calls, potentially this might be a opportunity to kind of cover them, because I do feel, given everything, NIO is going to be continuing to move higher, and most likely, at least in the short term, we will be seeing a retest of kind of that $8 range. Aside from that, looking at the market position for today, you see a lot more willing buyers comparing it from Friday of last week. So definitely good to see. And even technically the number of sellers right here between that 760 and 780 has gone down as well. Aside from that, and what I brought up, there really hasn't been all that much in real articles coming out associated to NIO. So I think it's just a matter of time before optimism for NIO really does start to kick in, and then you get some FOMO. At the same time, you might see NIO announce their earnings this week. So the date of their earnings most likely will be tail end of Q of the second week, if not early third week of November. So that in among itself as well could be a pretty good catalyst. So let me know your viewpoint on NIO, and if you are buying the dip, or if you did buy the dip, or are you kind of doing the flip side and are you selling? I'm no hate towards anyone selling, because as long as people make money, that's kind of what matters. That's why we all do this, right? That's why we all invest. We want to make money. So as long as you make money, that's all that matters. So let me know your thoughts. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.